Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Rev Talk. I learned of a saying, and it brought a lot of interesting thoughts to me on which I felt we should elaborate because I really believe we need to listen to this. And it's kind of hard to do it, but if you just stop and listen to the verbiage, that's all it takes. So it is very simple. And that was, it's easier to focus on your problems than to work on your dreams. And to me, that's just saying dreams are in la la land. It's something you're always wishing for, but the problems are present, and that's all we need to deal with and get rid of them. When you don't, it's your perception again. It's how you look at things. So if you're looking at your dreams and things you want to manifest or things you want that are out of your reach, your problems will solve themselves. And this is what we have to realize. Instead of dwelling on them, let's look at the other side or flip the coin and say, oh, that was really great time I had there. Why am I worried about what they said? Why do I think my sister did this to me? No. Remember, oh, we did this. So there's many areas that we have to realize. And when I was talking with Reverend Kim, it actually made sense to me. We have to stay in the present. We have to stay in the now. And that's what's hard. It's not taking these tasks to focus on the good versus the problems. It's stay in the present. The problems aren't with you right then and there.
Right.
The problems are only with you, for instance, if it's debt, when that bill comes due. But you worry about it for 30 days, giving it more and more power on your thoughts, and pretty soon everything's in this bottle you're worried about, and you no longer can be in the present. So I really think that's a good subject to elaborate on, a good subject to focus on, and just try baby steps, not giant, try to solve everything at once. You know, this is going to be my go-to because I have my mother-in-law here. I used to worry. Oh, she's going to trip. She's going to fall. And so I'm listening to every footstep. And just recently, since the new moon, I've been able to take a deep breath and say it's her journey. If she falls, I'll go help her. If she trips, I'll get up and pick her up. It's her way because I'm focusing so much now on taking care of her, and I'm doing physical therapy, occupational therapy. And I woke up this morning and the angels just told me, why? Her mind's not there. And so it's a 1.5 year wait in Washington, the state of Washington, to be diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's. The doctor today said, I've given it to her. So she put it in her chart. So this will help me with help and aid coming to the home. We're going to try to have her live here as long as possible until I have to put her in a home. So that's when I realized I stayed in the present. I didn't worry about what if she falls, what if that. I told the doctor, this is what we want to do. This is what her symptoms are. This is what she has. And the doctor was wonderful. She came up with solutions because she stayed right in to what I was talking about right there. She didn't look at her past records. She didn't look at anything. She listened and stayed in the present. And that's what we need to do. Because the present's great.
It is. It is. If we can stay there. And that's the thing. You know, when you get problems are a distraction. You know, it's I don't want to try and diminish anybody's,
Your learning experiences.
That's true. They are. And they're a reminder of where's your focus. You know, if you start ruminating on some problem, something that's bothering you, something that's been eating away at you, worrying about something, you're kind of putting that energy into it and helping to manifest even more of it. When it gets to be so uncomfortable, that's usually when we make a change. When it gets to be too uncomfortable for us, that's when we make the change. I know it is for me, and I laugh at myself about it, and it is something else that I kind of get to work on, that gets to be resolved, is that staying in the present, just looking around at the abundance and the good things that are in my life, eases that worry and eases that angst. I mean, you and I were talking before we got on here about my past and the things I went through with, my parents, and my teenage years were filled with angst, were filled with worry and dread and terror about what they were going to do next, and where, just getting behind the wheel and, taking somebody out. And, so I was the one that was driving them around when they were, too hammered to do it themselves. And I spent the majority of my youth terrified of that outcome. And it was interesting because I realized I don't remember an awful lot of my youth, because I was so focused on worry and worrying what they were going to do. Now, of course, it's not a really good thing to say, but since they're both dead,
That's a good.
things have definitely lightened up. But I find, the same angst, the same worry, the same things. Like, I remember telling you this story once about my grandmother. My niece Rachel was, she was I think she was in the Brownies. I'm not sure if she was in the Girl Scouts or not, but must have been Girl Scouts. Anyway, she was going to Oregon because they had this big jamboree or whatever it was. And she was going with a lot of friends. There were, obviously her whole troop and everything else. And so everything was fine. But I remember talking to my grandmother, and she just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, Nana, what's going on? And she said, I've been praying and praying that she gets there safely. And then I'm like, my gosh. I said, how much are you praying? And she's like, all the time. I'm like, okay. It's one of those, like, let that go. It's,
Yeah.
how strong is your faith that you have to keep praying and praying and praying? For me, and that's, something that everybody goes
Yes.
through, because it's part of that worry.
Yeah.
You've got yourself in such a state that you can physically feel everything tensing up, and it's going to work itself out. And you have to have that kind of faith to understand that it will. And if you flip that coin and you look at it like, this is going to work itself out, there is always a way, all of that starts to release. All that angst, all that worry starts to dissipate, and you start to feel better. You can breathe.
Your body listen to your messages. I mean, you don't realize it because you're so used to being tense all the time.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love the fact that you've come to that understanding that it is her journey, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It doesn't matter how much you try to intervene. it's going to happen if if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. You can try and prevent that, and you do. You try to keep her from. You see her wandering, and it's like, okay, I got to go get her before she, takes a header down the steps. Well, yes, there are things, but to be following her around, that takes away from your life and your journey. You've put everything on hold. So flipping that around and saying, I've done everything that I can. The rest is up to her. Let me get on with, what I'm focusing on. Instead of the worry, instead of the problem, focus on what's right here in the present and what you're doing. So I love that. I love that you've taken that, that step. I think that's wonderful.
Well, we all are taking that step. It's just a matter of remembering to continue through.
Yes.
And
to remind ourselves. And I
be gentle with ourselves.
Yes.
As we say.
Yes. That's to give yourself a break, to cut yourself some slack, to realize that it is, everything is in divine orchestration, to get caught up in the minutiae, which we are wont to do, just because sometimes we want to distract ourselves from focusing on our life and our path and our journey. Problems are
hard work, the journey, but it's enjoyable if we see
if we let it. If we let it be enjoyable, if we allow ourselves, we make it so hard, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say it's built in, but it's been something that maybe we've carried with us over lifetimes.
I was just going to say it's part of our DNA. That's
this whole thing that it has to be difficult in order for it to be rewarding. No, it doesn't.
And it's the simple things in life that bring us pleasure. It really is. Like you said, the pink moon.
Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous last night.
That's simple. And that's out of our control. Just enjoy it.
The wonderful thing is, when you see something like that, understand that it's there for you. Which I just, thought, oh my gosh, this is just for me because I got to see it. Now, other people may have, and it was just for them too. First thing in the morning, I stand in my yard and I close my eyes and I listen for the bird song. And I try to see how many I can,
where they are.
Wherever they are, if I can hear that. It's just a little, it's those small things that put you right there in the present. And
and you have no worries then.
Exactly.
And that is so important, because there isn't anything to worry about.
Right. It all works out. It is all good. It is all good. And there are no mistakes. We are not broken. We don't need to be fixed. All these things.
In whatever situation you're in.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much for that, Bev. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, my friends, I think we're going to stop for this Rev Talk. I want to thank you all for joining us once again, and to remember to be gentle with yourself and to be kind to yourself, and to remember you are unique in all the universe. There will never be another just like you in all of space and time. You are powerful, you are cherished, and you are loved. And without you, the song of the universe would be incomplete. Until next time, my friends, be well.